Welcome again to this week's episode of LdnOnt TV here on Rogers TV. I'm your host, Bronagh Morgan. I've been hosting for a couple years now, but you may remember this show has had previous hosts. And one of them is with us today, who is also, you may know him in his other role as Deputy Mayor, Shawn Lewis, Councillor for Ward 2. 2. Yeah. The numbers. I look at, wait, what did I do? I did 3, then 2, and no, 3, then 1, then 2 in the last couple of weeks, because we've been talking to a lot of your council colleagues who, they're, I think, as much of fans of you as I am. So thank you so much for taking the time. I was mentioning, I had this lovely conversation that some of the viewers may remember with Peter Cuddy a couple of weeks ago, and he just mentioned how collegial it's been, and especially for the new councillors who that's their first term. You have really, I guess, kind of been maybe a sounding board, maybe a mentor for those people, and that's just so nice to hear.
Well, for me, it's just part of the role of deputy mayor. You know, it was a privilege to have Josh ask me to serve as his deputy mayor. But in the last term of council, I had an opportunity to learn a lot from Josh. And so now it's my turn to pass that on and to help others learn and grow into this role. Because it is a steep learning curve when you're first elected. And there's so many things coming at you. I mean, and there's the citywide issues, but there's also the micro issues in the ward, right? The road that wants speed bumps or a sidewalk, or the pothole that needs to be filled, or all of those little things that, how do you navigate getting those done for your constituents while at the same time dealing with some of these big citywide issues. And so if I can help other councillors learn and grow and be ready to feel more as leaders themselves in the community, that's just, to me, it's a good part of the job, because at the end of the day, there's no parties at City Hall. It's 15 individuals who came with 15 different ideas, but if we can find a way to forge a Team London out of those 15 different perspectives, that's what's in the best interest of the city. I love that, Team London. But it's not just, interestingly, it's not just about like knowing how to navigate the professional or the intricacies of the role itself, but also remembering, and you said this, these are human beings, and it's a tough go sometimes being a politician, isn't it? Oh, it absolutely is. Let me tell you, I mean, being back here, it feels like old home week. It's way easier to be on that side of the camera asking the questions than be in the elected role answering the questions. But yes, unfortunately, the public discourse in our community, in our province, in our country, I would say is at an all-time low in terms of respect and just a little dignity and collegiality with one another. You don't have to disagree disagreeably. You can disagree and still be respectful about it, and that's missing so much these days. And frankly, the abuse that elected officials take. A lot of people look in the mirror and go, why did I sign up for this? Do I want to stick around and do this for 3 more years? So just checking in once in a while and making sure that people are doing okay, especially if you've seen they've had a tough day, whether it's with constituents or whether it's at a committee meeting where they didn't get the traction they really wanted on something, whatever it is, just taking that 5 minutes to send a text or make a phone call and just say, are you all right? I know that didn't quite go the way you wanted, or I know that person was pretty nasty. Are you okay now? Because at the end of the day, self-care and looking out for each other, there's only 14 people in this city who understand what this job is. And so we've got to look out for each other a little bit that way too. It's just really nice to hear, because you don't always see that side of politics. The things that we'll see on TV, especially at the other levels of government, is just there is a lot of theater, and there's a lot of real contentious behavior, and sometimes not 100% polite. I haven't seen that from our council, but it's definitely something for people to think about, because at the end of the day, these are people. And if we want to have good people, wanting to be in those roles, it's kind of important to be good. Well, that's the thing. People. If you want good government, if you want good leadership, you can't be smacking people down every time you disagree with them over something, because there's always somebody who's just going to disagree with the decision we make. And the mayor's got a great saying. He says, for every tax dollar we spend in this city, there's somebody who wants us to spend more dollars on that, and there's somebody who wants us to spend $0 on that. You're never going to please everybody, so you have to think about what's in the best interest of the city. And I wish the public understood the same thing. For every opinion that you have about an issue, there's somebody who has the opposite opinion, and that's okay. That's a healthy democracy. We should encourage diversity of opinion, but not in a way that's mean and disrespectful. At council and in committees, there are procedures and processes we have to follow to try and keep decorum, and when a councillor doesn't follow those, we do have to interrupt and say stop, like that's, and worst case scenario, you get ejected from the meeting, but you don't have to let it get that far. And hey, I've made mistakes along the way too. So but I've learned from those. And I'm hoping that I can pass that on to the newer members of council as well.
Fantastic. So how many terms have you been in office now?
This is my second term.
All right. So
feels like much longer than that.
So it ages you. Okay.
Every gray hair, when I was on this show, I had nothing but jet black hair. Every gray hair I got is from being on council since I left.
But you love it.
I do,
or
yes.
You wouldn't be doing it.
Public service is something that you have to love. It's not, it's not even really a job, it's a calling. Like you do it because you want to leave your community or your province or your country in a better place than where you found it. And that can be different things to different people. But everybody, I think, goes into seeking elected office for good reason.
That's right. And so your good reason, thinking back to why you decided to get involved in the first place, what was your good reason?
It started with my own neighborhood. It started off being the president of the community association at the time and just feeling like we were not getting our fair share. We were not having our voices heard at City Hall. And realizing, because of course at the time I was also working for a member of parliament, so I was already immersed in public service in a different way as a staff person. But saying, you know what, I think maybe I can be that voice. I'm doing this community association thing. I'm helping with coaching a hockey team. I'm helping out at my Legion. Maybe I can help out at City Hall. And so that's what got me started. And again, it was the little neighborhood things. It was this park, playground, should have been taken out and replaced 10 years ago. Why are we still, broken swings and a slide that people are getting cut on and those kind of things? Why are we not getting rid of this? And why do we not have, at this intersection where people wait way too long idling their cars, why do we not have some advanced screens? We can see where the traffic's going. And so just those little things, and that's what I focus on in my campaigns. Yes, there's these big citywide issues. Yes, we need to take the best steps we can to keep property taxes as low as we reasonably can. Yes, we need to tackle things like the housing crisis and homelessness. Yes, we need to tackle things like good transit and transportation. But what about those micro-level things? What about the things we all experience in our day-to-day lives? That park at the corner of the street that the kids go play in. That parking challenge that we might have on our street because maybe we need some no parking signs closer to the stop sign. That makes a difference in people's day-to-day lives too.
That's and a myriad of issues that I think a lot of people probably don't realize that go into serving your constituents as a city councillor and then also now as deputy mayor. We
run more than 100 different programs and services in the city. So there's never a dull moment because there's always something new. You always get a different question. At least once a week you get one where you go, man, that's one I have not heard before. I'm going to have to look into that a little bit more. But that's part of the fun of the job because you get to learn new things. You get to ask questions that you never even thought of yourself because people bring them up to you. So it keeps the job fresh. But yeah, there's a lot to do. And of course, our hands are tied on a lot of things because a lot of things are provincial or federal responsibilities. So we also have another job as educators to say to our constituents, you know what, you actually have to contact your member of provincial parliament on that, or you have to contact your member of federal parliament on that, because that's not actually something the city can do anything about. Yeah, and I guess obviously important to keep those lines of communication open as well with those different levels of government. So you've got a lot on your plate. I want to hear more though, because I know you have tons of things on your plate and things getting off your plate and things getting dumped on your plate that people are going to want to know about, but we do have to take a break. But we have to take a break. Yes. Well, I guess the schedule of this show. You should have told us. Maybe you should tell our viewers. Please stay tuned because we're going to have some more with Shawn Lewis after this.
This program is brought to you by the following sponsors.
Carbon monoxide is a deadly gas you can't see, smell, or taste.
Homes with fuel-burning appliances and/or attached garages must have working CO alarms installed outside all sleeping areas.
Don't let the silent killer get you. Install working CO alarms today.
About 16% of the people we talked to actually became homeless during the pandemic. And it's a horrible thing to be.
So I've been with Rogers TV for going on 7 years now, doing stuff for everything from working at the London Nationals here to doing the London Majors baseball. I've done basketball, I've done soccer, I've done football, basically anything that the Rogers TV wants me to do. I wanted to be a volunteer because it gave me that opportunity to really improve my skills and gives me a chance to use them every week. It's not easy to go out and just be like, hey, I have talents in talking to a camera and wanting to talk to people. Finding a place to do that isn't the easiest place, but Rogers TV has been a great opportunity and gives me a chance to talk about the one thing I'm most passionate about, and that's hockey. If you've ever thought about doing something like this, go out and do it. There's nothing more exciting and exhilarating than standing in front of a camera and actually getting able to talk about stuff that you feel passionately about.
This is Rogers TV.
Welcome back to LdnOnt TV here on Rogers TV. I'm your host, Shawn Lewis, and I'm speaking today with Bronagh Morgan. Oh, wait a minute. No, other way around.
That could have worked too, but
I know,
we're
totally.
about 5 years late for that one.
Right. Oh, darn. Okay. Big picture. So we've talked about some of the micro level challenges that you deal with on an everyday, like every day as a city councillor and as deputy mayor. But there are a lot of big things that you tackle as a council and as a council member. And I think our viewers are going to want to hear about some of these really big and exciting things coming to London that you've been working on.
Yeah, so there's no doubt that we have our challenges, of course. And obviously the homelessness situation and the housing crisis are the top of that list. No question about that. And the work we've been doing recently to completely reinvent the system with all the organizations that participated in this hubs plan that we are now moving through the steps of standing up the first hubs so that by the end of the calendar year, we have some places for people to go so that they're not sleeping in doorways, so that they're not in tents down by the river, so that they're not disrupting businesses. Those things are happening. Challenging? Yes. I'm cautiously hopeful that this new approach is going to make a difference. You know, when we think about the 6,000 emergency room visits made by homeless people last year, the almost 12,000 hours of police time taken up on homelessness and mental health calls, and the fact that we're going to start diverting some of that away into a different system to help people stabilize and move to housing. In the long term. I'm really, really hopeful on that. We need our provincial and our federal partners to continue to play a role. Addiction rehabilitation, that's purely in the healthcare portfolio of the province. So they need to deliver on that commitment to us. From the federal government, we have received $74 million in the Housing Accelerator Fund, which will help us speed up housing. And I want to talk about the really exciting part because there is good news. Yes, we have our challenges. But we've got cranes in the sky downtown right now, building some of the tallest buildings in southwestern Ontario, residential, purpose-built residential buildings, places that are going to be people's homes, places that are going to put feet back on the streets in our downtown, supporting our local restaurants, going to the Grand Theatre, to Budweiser Gardens, to the Central Library, to Covent Garden Market, literally thousands of residential units coming online over the next year or so, and more on the way. I mean, it was only a couple of weeks ago at Planning Committee that we approved the 53 and the 43-story towers at the forks of the river. Complete reinvention of that piece of land, and there's going to be public access spaces and pocket commercial spaces. So you're going to have that riverfront cafe, or that riverfront pop-up retail store with like fun and games kind of things that you can do. So I'm excited about that. To see cranes in the sky where they're not finishing a project and taking the crane down and leaving town. They're finishing a project and then they're moving the crane over to a new property and starting a new build, the same crew. So the jobs that comes with that are fantastic. And we also recently approved the phase 1 of the renovations and expansion to Budweiser Gardens. You know, we're about halfway through the 50 years of this building, and it was always envisioned that about the halfway point we would need to do a refresh, and we're at that point. You know, the dressing rooms are not up to today's modern standards for an OHL team, let alone, you know, bringing in the Leafs or somebody for an exhibition game, or the Tim Hortons Brier, or, you know, the World Figure Skating Championship, all of those great kind of events that we've hosted in the past. If we want to have them again, we needed to make this investment. The back of the house stuff, you know, somebody sitting in a TV studio, you know how important it is to have a green room for your guests to wait in, to have the information ready at your fingertips for those questions that you want to ask. And so those things that we're doing to improve the facility for our media too, as well as for the customer, enhance concession experiences. And the thing is, at the end of the day, we own the building. So yes, it's money up front, but we get revenue sharing back on that every year for the next 25 years. It's actually going to result in $53 million of new revenue for the city directly from Budweiser Gardens. That doesn't even count the extra hotel rooms that people will rent to stay overnight for a concert or special events that they come in from out of town for. So that's gravy on top of that 53 million. So really exciting there. And, you know, we had the announcement at the end of September that WSIB is moving its headquarters from Toronto here to London, and, you know, over 100 more jobs coming with that. There's good things happening in the city. So despite the challenges we have to deal with as a council, there's reason to be excited too.
Absolutely. Well, I can sense the enthusiasm for you. And I know, like, you're another one of these councillors that, you know, you have your feet on the ground in the community all the time. I see you all over town at different events in your ward, but in all different parts of the city. So are you getting a sense that people are starting to feel that enthusiasm? Are people seeing it on the ground? Are you hearing that back from residents as well? Or I guess this is a kind of an opportunity to get that information out there.
Well, you know, this is a great opportunity to get that information out there. And that's the thing that people really struggle with. You know, we've had some federal legislation that changed some linkages to news sources on social media. So people are actually surprised. They're not hearing about these things as much because they're not getting the connections that they used to get. They're not getting those updates. So that opportunity to be out, whether I'm on my bike, and I know for me at least, I know some people are hardy enough to do this all winter long. For me, bike season is coming to a close very, very quickly.
Yeah, I hear that.
The pool's closed. The bike goes away shortly after that. But I walk my ward all the time. And I visit other wards too. And, you know, with winter season approaching, people will find me in arenas again with a Tim Hortons in my hand and a hockey game happening on the rink. But they know they can approach me and have that chat with me. So I really do find that once you start talking to people, they go, oh, well, that's great news. I didn't know about that. And I guess that's part of the challenge that we have as a council too is, you know, on the nightly news, you see lots about what's happening in Parliament or what Premier Ford is doing. But often there's not a lot about what the mayor or what council or the good things happening in the city. So this is an opportunity to share that with your viewers, but it's an opportunity that I take every chance I get because I want people to know London's on the move. Like, we are the 10th largest city in Canada. We are the fastest growing in Ontario. You know, when the London plan was done, I was talking to our former city planner, John Fleming, a couple weeks ago. When they wrote that plan in 2016, we were experiencing 0.8% growth. In the last 5 years, we've had 10% growth.
Oh my goodness.
Like, we can't even, like, the energy is there. People are looking at London as a place to grow, as a place to come and raise their families. You know, we've got good schools, we've got great amenities, we've got a great park system.
Absolutely.
There's so much going on here. For all of its challenges, and there are challenges, I absolutely admit that. And, you know, the budget is coming up, and that's going to be a scary number too, because the city's not immune to inflationary pressures.
Right.
We've still got to put fuel in the police cars and the fire trucks and the transit buses and the land ambulances. We've still got to pay our staff who run the arenas, who cut the grass in the parks in the summer, all those things. So, and we only get property taxes. We don't get a cut of the income taxes or of the HST. So our property taxes always go up. And the budget number is going to be a little bit scary, but I feel like we're going to be able to keep it within the, in the same ballpark as the inflation rate. And we're going to do that because of the growth we're experiencing, because all of these new homes and these new people are contributing as well. So that it's the rising tide floats all boats.
I love to hear that level of positivity coming from a politician, especially one who has been in the role for a while, so you haven't become jaded. And what's your secret then to keep that level of energy and that feeling of we're going to keep on moving this forward on those tough days? How do you handle it?
I drink.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding. Although I do enjoy a cold beer or a glass of wine after a committee meeting sometimes. But honestly, it's about staying connected. It's about talking to people one-on-one. And honestly, I got to give a shout out to the kids in my life. They're not kids anymore. They're all 19 and old enough to take me to the bar for a beer if they want. But seeing the opportunities that we're creating for the future, that's what keeps me positive. For any of the days that are crappy and negative, and you come home and you go, why do you do this? And then, I see one of the younger people in my life and I go, oh yeah, that's why I'm doing this.
Fantastic.
I'm doing it for you. I'm doing it for their future. The time will come when I walk away and somebody else will have this job. I want them to inherit a situation that was better than what I inherited, and I want them to continue to build on that. So to me, it's just, I'm a link in a chain.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for taking the time today. As you know, we always end our show with one of those amazing young people. So I'm going to have to say goodbye to you and ask our viewers to stay tuned, though, because we do have 5 more minutes to chat with you after the break.
This program is brought to you by the following sponsors.
After a night out with your friends, not having a plan for a safe ride home can leave you in a bad spot. You could end up riding in a police car, an ambulance, or a hearse. These unplanned modes of transportation can be a costly choice and do not take you home. Your plan could include a designated driver, a taxi, or public transit. Drink responsibly, choose your ride, and have a plan for a safe ride home.
Visit arrivealive.org to find out more.
And this one will escape the Niagara end. We have a counterattack the other way. Ooh, that's a pass right in front and a goal.
Wow.
And how quickly can defense turn into offense?
Most people that have received treatment for drug use problems are probably going to have a lapse.
Join addictions counselor Dean Anderson for Invisible, Breaking Through the Stigma of Addiction on Rogers TV.
You're watching Rogers TV.
Welcome back to LdnOnt TV here on Rogers TV. You are in for a treat. Our final segment, we're going to be chatting with Millie, who apparently is a huge fan of Optimus TV Bingo here on Rogers TV.
Yes. My family, we play it every Monday night, and we love Optimus Grant.
So you're having a good time in the studio.
Yes.
We're very happy to have you. So I know you through one of my kids, Rain, who you go to school with, and I have heard that you are an amazing visual artist as well as recording artist. Can you talk to me about some of your art?
Yeah, so I brought some today. If
I would love to see some art.
I'm in the Beal art program, and currently we're working on printmaking and ceramics. I'm more of a painter, but it's fine. This summer I've been working on my oil pastel pieces on paper, and I'm hopefully going to get enough to start showing them places, but we'll see.
Can we have a look?
Oh, yes.
Show our viewers some of your work?
So this is some of the work I've been doing this summer.
And so did you learn about using oil pastels at Beal, or are you self-taught for this type of work?
I'm self-taught in oil pastel, but Beal taught me sort of like the principles of art. This is a landscape of Kettle Point from over the summer.
Amazing.
And
how long does it take you to do a piece of art like that?
These ones, usually like an hour to 3 hours. not super long.
And what's your favorite subject matter?
My favorite subject matter?
Or what do you like to draw the most? Looks like a couple landscapes.
Yeah, I love landscapes and trees and nature and water.
Beautiful. And so now let's switch gears and hear a little bit about music.
All right. I started writing music when I was 12. I got this ukulele. Actually, I won an art competition at Grooves, the record store, and they gave me this ukulele,
Let's see that ukulele
as the prize. This is my ukulele anthurium, and I've been trying to work on an album, but I'm a very good procrastinator.
Well, it sounds like you have a lot on the go, so I don't know if I would really call it procrastination. What kind of music do you like to write then? What's your style?
I like to write a lot of singer-songwriter, occasionally indie rock and folk. At Beal, there's a program that teaches how to record and use microphones in the studio. And a couple of my friends and I wrote a rock song last spring. So
awesome.
We're hoping to release that one soon.
So you've already recorded it?
Yeah, but we're fixing it up right now.
Awesome, fantastic. And so those are all skills that you are able to learn in the Beal programs?
They teach you how to use the computers and what different types of microphones there are, and you just go in and you practice with a group, and then they show you how to record it and edit it and everything.
Wow, I'm sure our viewers would love to get a sample of some wonderful Millie music. We only have a little bit of time left.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say goodbye, and I'm gonna ask Millie to play us out. So thank you so much for tuning in this week, and take it away, Millie.
Call the Rogers TV viewer response line, email us, or connect with us on social media.
Was that 4 or 5? He's lost count and still thinks he can drive. Do you think he knows that when he is caught and charged with impaired driving, he'll lose his license and a lot more? If he gets in his car, he'll face costs exceeding $20,000. Does he realize he could have a criminal record for his choice to drive? And it could be much worse if he crashes. I wonder what he'll be thinking tomorrow.
Have a hold on one at 15.
Visit ArriveAlive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive. Drive sober.
Monday nights, a winner with Optimus TV Bingo on Rogers TV. With a weekly prize board of $3,000, the money raised funds projects to help the youth in our community. You can pick up your cards at over 90 locations across London, and for only $2, you get 6 chances to win. Watch, play, and win every Monday night at 8 p.m. with Optimus TV Bingo on Rogers.